Hey y'all, welcome back to the second episode of the Paul Cobin Show. Today I'm here with Parker Tisdale, a good friend of mine. He is a junior here at Clemson. You are a political science major.
Mm-hmm.
You're involved in Young Life at Walhalla High School.
Yep.
I've been on an advisory board for, what was it called again?
The John Lennon Black Foundation.
Okay, yeah.
It's in Manning. It started. He actually went to my high school. He's years ahead of me, but he got into some substance abuse, ended up passing away, and so his family went on and started this foundation to help others that are also going through the same struggles, get them the help they need, and also fundraise the means to get that help because, I mean, as much as people need help nowadays, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the main street lines is getting the funds to do that and just put them in a position to be successful. You know.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so that's an amazing thing that you can do. Another thing that you also have been involved in, you've been involved with the solicitor's office.
Yep.
In Anderson, South Carolina.
Yep.
And I've also been told by you yourself that you wanted to work in law one day, want to be a lawyer, something like that. What is one thing that you learned while being in the solicitor's office, like about, what did you do? What did you do there?
So my main role was helping out in like the pretrial intervention office. And that's a wide range of things. You got PTI. That's just mainly to help people stay out of jail. You get it one time. Once you burn it, it's done. But that's essentially what it's for, is to keep you out of jail. But then there's also like traffic education, alcohol education, juvenile, stuff like that. But my main area was PTI. And so through that, I saw a lot of people coming from a lot of different backgrounds, and we can touch on a little bit of that later. But it really just opened my eyes to like, there's a world out there outside of what we live in, and it's a dark world and it's broken, and you really see that on an everyday basis. Because I mean, you see somebody new every day, and you get to hear a little bit of their story, and there's a lot going on in people's lives that you would never know. Wow. So that was one of the biggest things that I took away from that, and kind of pushed me into wanting to do law more, because I mean, obviously I had that urge before doing so, but when you do that, you just see like how badly some people are hurting and they're not able to help themselves.
Yeah.
And so if you're able to have a career in which you can help them and put them in a position to be successful and get them out of trouble, because a lot of what you hear is some of these people that get arrested and find themselves in these positions, a lot of the time it's just a bad mistake.
Yeah.
And you really see them on like the worst day of their life. And that's the hardest thing. And if you can help them in any way, I love that. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned and what made me want to be a lawyer more. So
yeah, leading into that, I mean, that's like an eye-opening experience for sure. Like, going to that side of the world, that side of the country, where you just like really see the worst parts of people, but also like know that like, wow, this could have just been one mistake, one stupid idea that they had. Yeah. And they just completely could ruin the rest of their life. My next like little question is, you said you want to be a lawyer. What is one thing you want to be known for as a lawyer? Like what one quality that you want to be known for?
Just being intentional.
Intentional?
I feel like intentionality goes so far, because let's say you go and you represent somebody and you don't win the case, they know that somebody fought for them. And somebody was on their side when they felt like nobody else was. And so if you can at least build that relationship, I mean, that goes so far. Yeah. Not only for yourself, but for them too. And they just realize that they're not alone in any of these issues they're going through in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a really awesome thing to stand for. And I feel like you portray that in a lot. You're always a really intentional person. And then especially, it's really evident in your Young Life, like your ministry. We talked, kind of when I was introducing you, talked about how you're a Young Life leader at Walhalla.
Right.
What is that like on the day-to-day basis or weekly basis? Like, what do you do?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. I mean, I'm around high school kids all the time. And so nowadays there's so much like brain rot, and you just kind of have, it kind of makes you feel youthful more.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we get so wrapped up in our everyday lives that we kind of start to lose ourselves and lose where we came from. And then you get put in a setting with a bunch of high school kids and you're just like, this is awesome. It's really fun. And so it's a lot of fun. So on my weekly basis, we have like club on Monday nights. That's kind of fairly new to us. We started that back up last year. And it's been really hard, been a really big test. But we've been able to pray a lot, and we've been able to see a lot of the fruit from that prayer here recently. So that's been really cool. We go to the lunches, sports games, and really just meet them where they are and dive into their everyday life.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool. Also eye-opening. Like I said, in law, I was a Young Life leader before I went to the solicitor's office. Mm-hmm. And so one of the biggest eye-opening experience was, I'm from Sumter, and Sumter's got a lot of brokenness, but my bubble, I went to a small private school. Everybody knew everybody. Did Young Life there. But for the most part, people that I surrounded myself with, financially okay, family life was good, no glaring issues, at least from the surface.
Yeah.
You surround yourself in an area like Walhalla or anywhere outside of your bubble norm, anywhere outside of that, you see a lot of really big hardships. So you've got people that are just struggling to get means of transportation, people that are struggling to, just get food and get to school. And it's really hard. It opens your eyes up, makes you feel a sense of, thankfulness, but also just you want to help these people and introduce them to the gospel in the best way possible. So.
And I feel like the goal of Young Life is to really just make as many disciples as you possibly can. Really pour into these high schoolers and wildlife middle schoolers just to really show them the love of Christ. And I know that you and your whole team and so many other teams do such a good job at doing that. One little question I have, just more about Young Life and your faith. What was the most, if you can recollect, what was the most impactful conversation you had with a high schooler?
So this was really hard. It was really hard for me to kind of navigate through after the fact. It was right after I got placed, and we were on the way. We went to Waffle House one night. We were taking a kid home, and I don't remember how we got onto the subject, but he started talking about his walk with faith. But then he started getting really deep and vulnerable, and was mentioning suicide. And I was like I've never been around that. I've never been exposed to that. And I was like wow. You when you think of being Young Life leader, you're these hard conversations are going to come up.
Yeah.
But you don't realize it until it happens. And it's just wow. People are struggling. And so we sat there, and it was me and two other guys that were on my team, and we tried to present the gospel to him, and it was really hard because he had mentioned that his uncle was a believer, and he frankly was a believer.
Yeah. And
he was just every when I started being a believer, started following Christ, everything around me, my uncle died, everything just went to hell. It was awful. And so you just kind of figure out how to navigate those conversations. But that one touched me the most and impacted me the most, because I was wow. There's some hard stuff these people are dealing with.
That's really deep.
Yeah.
Me, from a personal point of view, definitely have gone through a lot of the same stuff. And mental health is one of the big things that I stand on, especially for guys, because we hate talking about it. But
right.
It's just it's so real, and it's so important that we talk about it. And to be able to have that ministry and be able to be that person that people can open up to and talk to about that. Because honestly, if he doesn't talk to people about that, he's going to keep on going down that spiral and keep on spiraling, and it just makes things so much worse. And that would have happened in my life too if I didn't find someone to finally talk to about my mental health and my, quite honestly, suicidal thoughts. But wow, that's super, super cool that you have that opportunity just to present the gospel. Kind of moving more into a little transition here. Mm-hmm. How has your faith shaped the way you see people and the way you see the political world?
It definitely helps me to gain other people's perspectives.
Okay.
And where they're coming from and the decisions that they make. Because I feel before I started taking my faith seriously, before I started getting into law seriously, I took a very narrow-minded approach to things. And kind of how I saw things were the right way. And that's not always the case, but that's just how I view things. Yeah. And so now you can kind of gain the perspective of where some people come from, and kind of helps you deal with what's morally right and what's morally wrong. So, like, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If I want to preface by saying like shoplifting is never okay.
Yeah.
And you know, if you decide to make that decision, you should be punished accordingly. But if you're like a single mother or single father, and I mean, prices are insane, and you're trying to make ends meet, like you have a family of 3 back home, like what do you do? Yeah. And you go make the decision to go to like a Walmart and steal, I don't know, groceries. Like morally not acceptable. Yeah. But it's hard. Like what's the decision that you make to provide for your children back home?
Yeah, you asking me like exactly what I would do?
I don't.
Yeah.
Like it's hard.
It's almost impossible, the task. Like, and I would never condone anything that comes with it, but it'd be so hard to be like, I want to provide for my family. I want to make sure that my family has food on the table at the end of the day.
Correct.
But when it comes down, when I start thinking about this, obviously there are so many unforeseen circumstances, but there are ways that people can get
for sure
food on the table,
for sure.
Whether it's food stamps. Like we have those things in place
for sure,
so that people don't have to do that
for sure.
And if people continue to work hard, and people go through tough times, people go through times when they're broke, when they're poor, and those times are really hard. But people just got to keep on working hard and keep on putting effort in, because then they can eventually get out of that state and they can become financially free, have the ability to provide for their family, live a more comfortable life when they're not check to check, pay like rent's due, being late on the rent, like where they can live and not have to worry about, am I going to get food on the table? But definitely
hard.
It's an impossible task for a lot of people. And it's really hard for like someone who's an outside point of view to be like, that's wrong, when from their perspective, a lot of people are like, I just got to feed my kids. And
that's what's hard is like a lot of what I saw over the summer and in my experience, like at the solicitors, like of course there's some people that are just being idiots and do stupid things, make dumb mistakes, but there's a lot of people that are just trying to make ends meet and provide for their family. And you're like, that is wrong, but how do I sit here and, I mean, I don't want to say justify it, but it's like, like, what do you do?
How did you deal with some of those cases? Like the cases that was just like...
I mean, you just have to listen to them and make them feel like somebody is there listening to them. Because at the end of the day, like, there's not, like, I mean, I worked there, but it's not like I was the decision maker. Yeah. But sometimes they just need an ear to talk to. And somebody to, like, hear who they are and where they come from and what their story is. And so if you can be that, like, that's all that some people want and need. They just need somebody to be like, oh, he's here. Like he's here to listen to me. Here's what I have to say. And so that was my biggest thing is like I don't want to make anybody come in and feel like they're not known. Like their story matters. Like that was
you want to be the guy that makes sure, you want to be the intentional person, like you said, that people know that they care. Like, golly, I could not imagine going through anything like that. But what do y'all do as a solicitor's office? Obviously, each story is different, each scenario is different, but like, what would the usual be? You get someone that comes in, say it's a single mom, they did something stupid to provide for the family, they had to do it, feels like, what do y'all do from there, like, to help them out in any way, shape, or form? More so than just like the listening, like, what's the process?
So normally what they would do is go through pretrial intervention.
Okay.
And that's completely up to the head solicitor's discretion to offer that option. But it's a one-time thing, and it's around 3 months, about 180 days. Or 90 days, I'm sorry, not 100, 90 days. And it costs probably roughly around $250-ish, has some community service tied to it, but upon successful completion, your case gets thrown out, dismissed, essentially not guilty. And so that's some people don't, like, they take that opportunity for granted, but you've got these people that come in and they're like, I just made a terrible mistake, trying to make ends meet. They're extremely thankful for that because, $250 later, like, that's a lot of money for some people, but their case is dismissed and thrown out. And so that would be the average process if that option was offered. And also, like, they have to come up with the funds for that. And there are different ways that they can do so. But if they can come up with the funds to pay for that program, that's the normal route that they would take.
Yeah. So what do you think of the process? Do you think like the whole justice system, the truth, is it the way it should be? Are there things we can fix? What do you like about it? What do you hate about it? Like, I'm just really curious because, like, obviously having insider information on the whole judicial system, kind of like, what are your thoughts?
I think there are some aspects that are like really unfair. Like I've seen some people, like they've come in with like ankle monitors. Most people don't realize they're having to pay for those ankle monitors. So that's normally roughly around $300 a month. That's a lot of money for some people that are just trying to make ends meet, on top of whatever funds that they have to pay to be in these programs. And so I mean, I feel like if you're in these programs and you're taking the necessary steps to stay out of trouble, I don't see how charging people $300 a month to pay for an ankle monitor, I don't think that's very fair.
Yeah.
Especially like seeing that with people that like I personally know and have talked to, and it's hard. Like, and they'll have other things going on in life, and I don't know. That's been my biggest problem is just funds.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand that a lot of these people put themselves in these situations, and they would never be here if they wouldn't have made the decisions that they've made. But they're here. The reality is they're here. And if we're sitting here and we're trying to do our best to help get them out of trouble, why should I be taking $300 a month on top of whatever other legal fees they're paying?
Yeah.
For ankle monitors or anything for that sort. It's hard. But that's been my biggest issue, is just hearing these stories and the funding that comes with it.
Yeah. So what would be your solution then to that? Because obviously nothing's free.
Nothing is free.
Someone's got to pay for it. Who would be paying for it? Tax dollars? Because that would...
Correct.
Do you think tax dollars would...
No, I mean, you also don't want to take that route, because that's everyday citizens paying for somebody else's issues. But I don't know. I would love to do a deep dive into the costs that go along with some of these things. Like how much does an ankle monitor really cost to run? If it's $50 or whatever, why are we charging $250 more?
Yeah.
I would love to dive into that and see the costs that come along with it and see where we're going wrong.
Yeah.
But after that, I would be able to make a good decision.
Well, I definitely don't have the
numbers
for that. Yeah. But what I do know is, it seems like there could be a lot of, not necessarily scamming, but trying to make a quick profit.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that everywhere in...
Yeah, especially in smaller rural cities, like they don't have the funding. I mean, you go to a bigger city, they have a lot more city funding, but if you go to a smaller rural city, I mean, it's the same way with traffic tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a traffic ticket and they'll hammer you with a fine, and you go to a bigger city, it's like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times I feel like that is what comes into play.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Just trying to make a quick profit in ways such as that. But
I mean, look at Clemson parking, for example. Like, it's one of the worst things ever. And we literally, I feel like a lot of times our police officers even care more about parking tickets and towing cars rather than keeping people safe, just because Clemson, South Carolina, Anderson, South Carolina, this whole upstate area, other than Greenville, don't have the funds that bigger cities have, just because they just don't have the amount of people, they don't have the amount of opportunities.
Totally agree.
And I feel like this is one of the ways that like they can make money. And I just feel like I agree with you.
Yeah.
I can't see. I wish we would do a deeper dive into how much each thing costs, so we can make it more affordable for those that are in those situations, because those situations are terrible. They're probably not financially stable as is already, especially if they're going with the right reasons to have to do the things that they're doing. Like, they're already most likely not financially stable.
Correct.
Why we just keep on pounding them, like pretty much pushing them further and further down when they can't even help themselves already.
It's sad, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at.
It really is. And I'm thankful that you have that insight, because, I mean, most people don't know that. They think like, oh, this guy is just some junkie who's stealing from Walmart. Yeah. I mean, maybe he is. Maybe there. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are like that.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know you've seen some of those people, but obviously you've definitely seen people who
the other side of that,
really struggling, who are just like doing the wrong thing, but honestly, probably for the right reason.
Yeah.
They're doing something that's morally wrong, ethically wrong, financially wrong, but they're doing it so that they can provide for their family.
Right.
And that's kind of, I mean, we just talked about truth, fairness in a little bit in the law. What do you see just in general? Like, obviously, that's kind of not necessarily a hot topic, but something that people would argue over. What do you see us as a country, like, how do you see our political landscape in the arguing, the disagreeing? Like, how can we better that instead of disagreeing over stuff that's maybe like a Robin Hood type of moral thing, but half the country hates it, half the country loves it, or vice versa? It's just like, how do we disagree better and find common ground and compromise?
Just a little bit about what I mentioned earlier about gaining other person's perspective. You just need to understand. I may sit here and I may disagree with you about any topic ever, but what's important is I can sit here and understand where you're coming from. And if I feel like if you can gain the perspective of where somebody else is coming from, then you're able to have more reasonable discussions, good argument, good faith-based arguments, but just don't be so narrow-minded.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we are today as a country. In a lot of the political landscape that we're at, it's always my way or the highway. It's never let me look at where you're coming from. Let me look at, if you're reasonable, and then maybe I can, get on board with what you were saying, or maybe not, but I can disagree with you, and then we can be fine 3 minutes later. It shouldn't be Congress right now, I don't think they've done anything. I mean, I don't know what they've done. Nothing. Funding hasn't done anything. I mean, they might close the national parks now, and I love national parks. I do not need them closed. But it's because we're all so narrow-minded. Like, you just need to understand where somebody else is coming from, so that you can either A, gain their perspective, or B, they can gain your perspective, and you can go further.
Yeah.
That's just been my biggest issue is communication and understanding where somebody's coming from.
Yeah. I'm definitely more right-leaning on almost every single topic.
Right.
And it feels like for me, whenever I try to have political discourse with anyone on the opposite side, a lot of the times, not every time, but a lot of the times, especially if it's someone I don't know, they just start to become a yelling match.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, like, when it's someone knowledgeable and someone that cares deeply and backs their beliefs up, it's great conversation. And I really enjoy that conversation. But when it becomes a yelling match or just an insult throwing match or something that's just like, oh, I don't know, Donald Trump's a racist. Like, if they say something like that, like, there's no basis to back up their argument. Mm-hmm. There's no substance behind the argument. They're just saying something to say something, just to hear what they've heard before a million times over. And I feel like that really causes us to be so politically polarized and just be so hateful towards one another. I've literally had people, and obviously this whole show and Instagram is not big yet. I've had people like comment, DM me like, stop what you're doing. You're so hateful. I'm like, the only thing I've said is I want to bring back open conversation. I want to have common sense back, and I want to bring Jesus in everything. And that's all I want. That's a whole thing I stand on. And people are still saying that's hateful. That's like racist. I'm like, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. This is just not the way politics or conversation should be. This is not the way that we need to live life. And it really, really sucks, in my opinion, because people just don't care. They're not knowledgeable. They're not educated in their beliefs. They just hear one thing, one-sided. They don't look at the other person's perspective, and they just say, nah, screw you, screw this, you're wrong. This is why I'm right, even though they bring no facts to support it. And I mean, maybe it's on the other side too, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on, like, why do we do this? Like, why is this as a country right now? Why are we so disagreeable? Why can we not agree on something like the justice system? Why can we not agree on something like really anything? We can't compromise on anything anymore. Why can't we?
I think we just let our egos get in the way, and we want, our way to. I mean, selfishly, like, I would always want what I want to happen, and at some point, like, I just have to, like, die to myself and allow other people's opinions that could be more reasonable than mine. Just allow things to happen naturally, but instead I feel like a lot of the times we go and fight for what we want, and what we want might not always be the right course of action. Somebody else that knows a lot more than me could have a different opinion and a different decision, and I should let that happen. I should allow that to happen naturally, because I'm not in this position. I'm not the president, and I'm not elected to be president. I'm not making those decisions. But I could be sitting here and saying, I know what's best for the country. Well, that might not be right. Yeah. I don't know. I do know earlier you mentioned you just want to bring Jesus back into everything.
Yeah.
But how would you go about intertwining church and government?
Well, yeah, it's a great question.
Because that's a hot topic.
No,
right
yeah,
now,
church and state, is it separate? Should it be together? Church and state should be separate, but it doesn't mean government should be secular, in my opinion. When it comes to having Bibles in schools, I think that the Bible is one of the oldest written texts ever. It should be in every classroom. Maybe, I'm not saying you should force kids or teachers to be Christians, but it should be present in every classroom. When it comes to intertwining Jesus into just my personal beliefs, it trumps everything. Obviously, having political discourse with people who don't follow Jesus, who don't believe in God, you have to debate differently. But at the end of the day, if I'm not showing the love of Christ to everyone around me, then it means nothing. Politics means nothing without Jesus. The world means nothing without Jesus. None of it matters. The only thing that really matters in life is to glorify God and to spread His word and make more disciples. That's our goal in life. Mm-hmm. That's our calling from God Himself. That is why we're put on this earth. And that's why I want to tie Jesus into everything.
Right.
You can't have your political beliefs and your ego and your pride overcome your belief in Jesus. It can't. My identity is in Christ. My identity is not in my political beliefs. My identity is in the one who created me, the one who loves me, and the one who died for me, so that I could live. It's not in what I think the economy is doing. It's not in who I think should be president, who I think should be senator. That doesn't matter. We are free to disagree on that, and I think we should. I think that everyone should have a political opinion, an opinion on honestly everything. Everyone should have an opinion on everything. Whichever way they lean, they should have an opinion on it. But it should not come at the price of their morals. It should not come at the price of their religion and their beliefs. It shouldn't compromise that. And I feel like a lot of ways, both sides, honestly, right, left, doesn't matter. We honestly love to compromise on what we believe, just because, what our faith is, because of an opinion we have.
Right.
From someone on the right wing's perspective, in my own life, I can see myself, and I know I have in the past, not necessarily hating, but just they're wrong. This is so stupid. This is not how it should work.
Yeah.
And I can see myself doing that. And I have to catch myself. I'm wait, this is not what Jesus would have done in this situation. Maybe Jesus would have an opinion on it, and his would be 100% right. Mm-hmm. But I'm not acting the way that Jesus would act in this situation. And I think right, left doesn't matter. You need to act in the way that Jesus would act in every situation, just because that's the whole goal, bringing Jesus into daily life. And I don't do that perfectly. I know you don't do that perfectly.
Right.
No one does. But I feel like as a country, we need to be better at bringing our faith into conversation. And people who aren't Christians, we need to start bringing our faith. We need to really go after them with faith-based conversations rather than just political conversations.
Yeah.
We need to bring faith-based conversations back.
I agree. And you also, you're exactly right. All we have is our faith, our morals, and our opinion and our voice. Once we lose those, we lose everything. A lot of those is the core foundations of who we are. And once we, lose our voice and lose our right to be heard, and also lose our faith in Christ, we're cooked.
Cooked. That's a good word for it. We are literally cooked. I just got a couple final questions for you, because this has been so good and so fruitful. Mm-hmm. Honestly, what do you think? You're involved in Young Life. Mm-hmm. Young Life's all about high school.
Right.
It's how do we pour into these high school kids? How do we minister to them? where do you see the barrier? Where do you see the wall when it comes to politics and young people? Where do you see that like cutoff, not interested, and how do we fix that? How do we not necessarily like beat a dead horse, like you need to have an opinion on this, but like really like make it important in their lives?
That's a great question. I feel like nowadays, especially with not even just like the high school that I'm at, but young people in general, isolation is like one of the biggest problems amongst young people right now, and people feel isolated, don't feel known, don't feel heard. And so if I'm a high schooler and I say I have an opinion, or it could be the wrong opinion, but I have an opinion, and then I'm instantly told that I'm wrong,
Yeah.
or maybe like I'm stupid or ridiculous, like why would I feel inclined to speak anymore?
Yeah.
Why would I feel inclined to be involved in politics, following that?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest issue right now is these kids feel isolated. These kids don't feel known. These kids don't feel like they even have anybody that wants to hear what they have to say. And so when you mix that with politics, like kids don't want to be involved in it because that's the fruit that comes from it.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said earlier, like I just want to be intentional with people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if anybody or everybody wants to be intentional with just a young adult or a high schooler or a young person in general, if you can make them feel known and heard, then they'll feel much more inclined to get involved with politics, speak their opinion, say what they want to say, and just be more active in general.
Yeah.
But if we just keep pushing them away and feel like their opinions are invalid, then they'll never want to do that.
Yeah.
Especially with, technology and social media nowadays. If I got on my Instagram right now, I would bet whatever that there would be something on my feed negative towards young people or their opinions. And why is it like that? Why? I feel like that's where we're going wrong as a society. That's our next generation.
Yeah.
We're that next generation. And what you're doing is awesome, getting on here and creating real conversations and spreading real truth.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality for a lot of these young people, and they don't
Yeah.
get that on an everyday basis. What they get is people around them that invalidate their opinions, people on social media that are also playing to invalidate their opinions.
Yeah.
I would argue that's the biggest barrier.
Honestly, like I never even thought about it like that, but just looking back on my own life a little bit, like I'm a very politically active person. I have a lot of opinions on literally everything, as you know, as everyone knows that knows me.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, like the people that would be the biggest, not necessarily haters, but like not in a way that like they would shut me down, but it'd be like my family. They'd be like, "Paul, that's wrong. Don't think like that," type of thing. Even though I was just being genuinely curious,
mm-hmm.
and I get shut down for it, and I'd be like, "Well, why?" Like, I was curious. I want to know. I had a thought on this. I wanted to further explore it. And you're 100% right. People get shut down and they lose interest.
And it could be the people that are closest to you.
Yeah.
And if the people that are closest to you are invalidating what you have to say or invalidate how you feel about different topics, then what do I gain from speaking out about how I feel about these topics if it doesn't even gain the approval of the people that love me the most?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like we're very blessed to be in positions to be able to speak our opinions here, but a lot of the times that's not the reality for our young people.
Yeah.
In the United States or anywhere in general.
Yeah.
They just don't feel like they have the right to be heard. And that's one of our biggest goals with Young Life is just earning the right to be heard and making these kids feel known and loved and feel like they can feel comfortable and speak how they feel and have somebody know that like where they come from is being understood. And so that's I hope that answered your question well, but I feel like that's our
really
biggest
well,
barrier.
Honestly. And just kind of closing question, like what would be one piece of advice that you give to your Walhalla high school guys or just in general to all high school, middle school guys? What would you say to them?
Just don't discredit the power of prayer. I feel like a lot of times we take it for granted. And I mean, justifiably so. I mean, if you're not a firm believer, like you're just talking to yourself. It essentially is what it sounds like. But that's not the case.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't discredit how powerful prayer is. And I've seen it work. I've seen how awesome and fruitful it can be. And if we can just sit here and give all of our worries and struggles and issues to the Lord, He'll take care of the rest. So that would be my biggest advice. Just don't downplay the power of prayer, because it's powerful and it's real and it's effective.
And it works.
And just helps us in general.
Yeah. Amen. Now, I just cannot thank you enough.
I thank you. Thank you.
This was awesome. Such a blessing just to be able to talk, have a real conversation with you. Obviously, we know each other pretty well, but it's just like, it's so cool to hear a perspective that honestly I didn't hear before. I never really asked you about your solicitors, like your impact there, your young life. I mean, I've talked to you about it, but just to hear the stories and just to hear the impact that you have is so cool and so fruitful. And I know people are going to love it. So seriously, man, I just cannot thank you enough for coming out here.
Thank you. I loved it. Hope to do it again soon, but this was awesome. And I love what you're doing. I think it's really cool. I think it's really fruitful, really effective. And I think it's helping people more than you know.
100%. And to y'all watching out there, like, thank you guys so much for tuning in again. I cannot wait to be back here next Sunday with a new podcast. Like and subscribe and comment. Thank y'all so much. God bless.